Hello, welcome to the 21st episode of Adventures in Job Searching. My name is Drew Styling. For the very first time, we have an attorney today. I have a list of about 700 lawyer jokes. I'll get to those at the end of the show. Uh, Jamie approved all of those. And here is our attorney right now, Jaime McNair-Benn. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. As I say, this is a podcast that nobody ever, ever, ever wants to be invited on. So I'm sorry that you had the misfortune of being invited here. What's your story, Jamie?
My story, my
I
career
got all night.
story, like my story. I don't know. I'm a Southern girl from Mississippi. I spent a lot of time in the South, and I am an attorney, as you are probably going to pick on me about later. And I spent a lot of time doing like nonprofit work. I've worked in higher education, um, healthcare. A lot of it has been geared around regulatory compliance. Um, so that's like career. And then
Hmm.
personally, I'm a mom, I'm a wife.
Hmm.
Um, I am a person who likes to try hobbies, random hobbies. Um, I'm adventurous, so I like going to new things, eating new foods. I'm allergic to a lot of food, so I have to pick and choose what I eat. But I do try different things, different hobbies. So yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. Just kind of like an accountant, I think one of the coolest things about being an attorney is that every organization needs an attorney. So you can kind of find what you're most passionate about and kind of go from there. So most recently, you were at a nonprofit making a, very huge impact in human rights and human well-being around the world, and you were there for a few years. What drew you to that type of work? Why did you want to focus your law practice in that area?
Mm. I have always been drawn to like causes for people who are in harm's way or who are being mistreated. It's
Why?
just
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It just hurts my heart when I see that any person or group of people is being mistreated and and they can't defend themselves or they're the underdog or whatever. It just really makes me mad. So um yeah, so I tend to just even um the one thing I think about is the crisis where the Native Americans were fighting against the oil pipeline that was trying to be built, and I was just like, oh, I just want to go out there and just like be out there, but I was in law school so I couldn't. And so like all these little things happen, and I always want to just kind of be present and do my part. And so that's kind of guided my career, is that I feel I feel like if I'm going to use my skills anywhere, I want to make sure that it is actually helping people. When I did work in healthcare, that was the one kind of piece that was missing. Um, and I got out of that pretty quickly. And so even in higher education, I worked at Jackson State, where there was awesome experience. Um, but I got to work with young adults who um, were first generation, and didn't know
Mhm.
what to do, didn't know what career paths to take. And I was like, oh, this is so fulfilling because I get to just help people um, with their just to have a good life, like do my little part and then disappear. And so
Yeah.
at IGM, I got to do my part, and IGM is a remarkable place, and we save a lot of lives. So it was really um life changing and really just fulfilling to take part in that, even though it's kind of behind the scenes, like legal work and compliance work. Nobody knows you exist. Like there's people on the grounds who are actually doing the rescuing. Um, but yeah, I've just always had a heart to do my part in the world, and I want my career to kind of reflect that as well.
Where do you think that came from? Was it, parents, a relative, a neighbor, or something growing up?
Man, I don't like thinking back in childhood. Like I just don't. I don't know. I just always. I've always been that way. Even as a little girl, I would think about. I mean, when I was little, like 5, 6, I would think about like, oh, I just want to have a business that helps people. And I didn't know what a business was. I just would, you pass by like these what do you call them? Where they just have random businesses, strip malls or whatever. And I would think about like I could have a business there where I just people come in and I help them with what they need. And it was like that was always what I thought about, even as a little girl. But I didn't know what I would do. I just knew that I wanted to have a business and I wanted to help people. So I don't know. I can't think of a like where that came from. I don't know. Uh-oh.
I want a business and I wanna help people. So
Yeah.
you just think for some reason it was just kinda naturally planted in you?
I think I was just born that way. Honestly,
Mhm,
I
mhm,
mean I grew up in the bayous of Mississippi and just me and my siblings, and so there was no tragedy, like it was really really cool childhood. Um yeah, I don't know. I think I've just always been that way.
mhm, mhm. So what made you think like, "Okay, I really wanna do this, wanna help people, law school and the legal career is the best way to do that?"
Well, that's um how did I decide law was the way to do that?
Mhm,
Um well, I had options. I thought about being a doctor, and then I realized that I don't like looking at blood, and I, am afraid of germs. So it's like, I don't
mhm,
wanna get sick, and so I was like, "Okay, that's not the route." Um, I thought about being a journalist and saying, "I can just tell people stories," like, get the news out there about what's happening, and then I was convinced not to do that because I was told that I would be poor. I was like, "Well, I don't want that." Um And so then I landed on, well, I'll just be a lawyer and I'll help people that way by representing those who can't represent themselves.
mhm,
I'd be an advocate. And so I went to law school. And interestingly enough, I don't do that type of work like criminal or litigation work. I do behind the scenes, like in house counsel, regulatory compliance work for organizations that help people on the front lines.
mhm.
Um, so it's kind of how I got there. Um, why I chose law, and it's just kind of made its way to the path that I'm on right now.
Mhm. And I think that's something a lot of people might not be aware of that, when you donate monies, to an organization like IJM, yeah, you're supporting the people on the front line, in these dangerous situations around the world doing the work. But why is it also important that, an organization like IJM has attorneys working in the compliance space?
Oh, being a compliance professional, you help the organization stay in line so that they can do the work that they need to do on the grounds. So you're behind the scenes making sure that the contracts are in alignment, that people are obeying the internal and external rules, and um, yeah, so that you just don't get kicked out of a country, and if you get kicked out while you're trying to rescue people or when you're in the middle of operation, you could actually do more harm than you intended by having to pull out.
I'm sorry. So, Jill, let you know, it's how does this stuff still? You know what I think it's. Hotel internet at night is just like I think everyone's fighting for it, and that's why it's just
No.
guaranteed to be a mess. Show Bluetooth devices. So we'll give it one more try, and I heartily appreciate your patience.
No, you're okay.
All right. We will give it one last try.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So as we were talking about IJM, why is it important for an organization like that to have compliance? A lot of people, like I said, when they make the donation, probably aren't even aware, that that's happening. So what's the importance for a nonprofit to have, lawyers working in compliance?
Yeah, so one of the big and I started with, the fact that we're
Hmm.
global, right? We're in
Yeah.
a bunch of countries, and one of the most important things out of many, but one of the most important things you need to do is make sure that you don't do harm when you're actually trying to do good. And so,
Hmm.
um, that means making sure that one, that you're in compliance with the local laws where you're
Hmm.
operating so
Yeah.
that that you don't lose your status as a corporation and have to get kicked out or
Right.
and it could be devastating if you're in the middle of trying to rescue someone or fight some sort of um like legal battle, and then you have to leave because you've lost legal status because you're in non-compliance with local law, and
Hmm.
that you find yourself actually hurting the people that you were trying to protect because now they don't have any
Right.
protection. Um,
Hmm.
and then on the U.S. side,
Hmm.
you are needing to be in compliance with the U.S. laws to stay incorporated and to get funding, to get the grant funding. Um, and even donors who are just rich rich people who want to help and they have tons of money to throw at you, they have requirements for you too. They want to
Hmm.
make sure that they're giving their money to people who are stewarding their funds um the right way ethically.
Hmm.
So yeah, on the back end, the legal and compliance team is making sure that operationally, legally, structurally that we're in compliance so that we don't actually accidentally cause harm when we're actually trying to support the teams on the grounds who are trying to do good.
Hmm. Was that an organization you had always wanted to work for, or was it kind of just an opportunity that kind of came in front of you as your career was ongoing?
IJM, I found out about IJM in 2014, right after law
Mm.
school, and I was like, "What? A bunch of attorneys rescuing people from slavery? I gotta do that." So,
So they were in your head almost for 8 or 9 years before you started working there?
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just always checking in to see what the perfect opportunity was, what the right job was. And around COVID, um, was the time because before then you had to live in DC to work
Hmm.
there, and I just could not see myself moving to DC.
Right.
But then COVID happened and a lot of things went remote, and so they had an opportunity that was aligned with exactly what I do, and I could do it remote. And so it was like perfect. Perfect timing.
Over the course of those several years before that remote opportunity opened up, what did you do to sort of keep your profile fresh in mind for the people that would be doing hiring for lawyers of that organization?
Mm. So I
Did
did
you, yeah, did you attempt to, form network with those people, form, soft connections over the years?
with IGM.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know
kind
any.
of that gap. That okay, so you didn't know, no, but it was just in your head then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the first outreach like? Was it just a job posting, or did you reach out specifically to someone that worked there?
There was a job posting that I was somewhat aligned with, but I was like, it's close enough that I applied for, and I hunted down the recruiter and was like,
Hmm.
I want to work for IGM and I think I could do that job. And so I pitched myself to the recruiter, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't think this is a job for you, but there's another job that I think is perfectly aligned for you." And I'm like, "I- It
And
is."
could you go back a second? So what did you say in that pitch? What was kind of that's one thing we always do on this podcast, the pitch. So what was the pitch you gave them?
Trying to think, what did I told her? So I just reached out to her on LinkedIn, and Um, and I told her that I just applied for that job and that I was interested in it. And I even told her that I'd always wanted to work for IGM since 2014. And that and of course, like, I hope you're the right person to talk to. And if not, could you please forward it, the whole forward it to the
Right.
right person. But then I said, but this is my resume. And yeah, it was like a just a I kind of put it all out there. Like, I've always wanted to work here. I feel like I'm aligned with this position, and let me know about my candidacy or whatever. Um, so she's a wonderful woman. She worked for IGM, so I ended up meeting her working with her. Wonderful woman.
Hmm.
Um, but she was the one who was like, "Yeah, that was good for you, but there's a one better." And so, I mean, I think that speaks to her heart, the kind of person she is to do that. Um, but yeah, I just kind of just put it all out there. It was because I wanted to work there for such a long time. My message to her was very clear. Like,
Hmm.
I've been hunting y'all down pretty much. So, yeah, that's clearly not verbatim, but that was the heart of the message.
Hmm. And what do you remember the interview process being like with IJM?
Oh my gosh, that interview process was long. There was the recruiter, and then there was the hiring manager, and then who was the VP of enterprise governance at the time, and then there was a panel. I did a panel with the chief administrative officer and the chief financial officer. That was one panel, and then I did another interview with the chief people officer, and then another interview with the general counsel. So it was a crazy lineup um, that I went through in my interview, the whole process, and it ended up taking about 3 months, um, which I was fine with because at the time I was employed at St. Edwards, so I wasn't unemployed, and because I wanted to work there so badly, I was okay with the length of the process.
Hmm. Are there any of those interviews that you felt like you really enjoyed or crushed? Is there one in particular that you think like, yeah, that's the one that got me the job?
I feel like honestly, I think I crushed all of them. I think I crushed.
Love it.
I really do. I think I crushed all of them. I did my research on the people. Um, I knew how to do the job, and I was just super excited about it. So I think I just came strong in every interview.
Hmm. Do you, you mentioned kind of having a sense of the people. Was that kind of LinkedIn, Googling them, trying to read about them, or?
Yeah, I just did a LinkedIn search just to learn about
Hmm.
them.
And
Um,
how do you think that's beneficial for job seekers?
um, well, for job seekers, and I don't know for everybody, but for me, it helped me get a sense of who I was talking to and how they thought. So, and then what they will be looking for in a compliance person.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I look at their previous work and what they've done. I look at where they went to school.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, I look at all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Did they ever almost express surprise that you knew that much about them?
No, but it might have been the heart of IGM because I feel like they were excited that I was excited and that
Hmm.
and that I knew who I was talking to.
Right,
That was,
right, right.
yeah.
And was there kind of between that final interview and the offer, was it a long waiting period, or once you did that final one, did it all come together quick?
After the final one, it wasn't long. It was probably a week or 2. The
Okay,
longest part was going through the different interviews, but, considering who what that panel looked like, I'm sure, like, getting on their schedules was just very hard to get their
right.
schedules to line up. But after the last interview, it didn't take long, I don't think. I don't remember it
Mhm,
taking long.
mhm. Do you remember, was there any sort of like nerves after that final interview and you're like, well, all I can do now is wait? Do you remember what going through your head then?
Do I remember? Oh, my this is 3 years ago. Trying to, um, I don't remember if I don't remember how I felt after the last one, but like I said, I was just so excited, and I think I remember feeling like even if I don't get it, I was just excited to have gone through the interview process,
Hmm.
um, because I had a job. It wasn't like, "Oh, if I don't get this job,
Right.
I'm" So,
Yeah.
I think I recall just being excited about the opportunity. Yeah.
Hmm. And that's the thing, job searching when you're already stably employed and money and finances aren't a concern is an entirely different ballgame, I think, than, when you're desperate. Unfortunately for me, and I think for you now, you've kind of seen, how job searching can be different based on, what your employment status is or not. And like I said, unfortunately, you have the misfortune of being invited here, so you've seen a little bit of both sides. So, what do you remember about your time there? What were you proud of what you accomplished during your time working for IJM as a compliance attorney?
Um, I remember a lot about my time there. Um, I made some really good friends and that I'm happy to know will go beyond whether I work there or not. Um, I was really excited about just the scope of my work, that being able to build a compliance program across the globe was really awesome. It's incredible. And also just the people, every office had a different vibe. I mean,
Hmm.
different cultures in general, but even um like the Philippines, I went to the Philippines twice and there
Oh,
was a
wow.
yeah, there's an office in Manila and that office
Hmm.
is Cebu. And though they had completely different vibes. And
Hmm.
so it was really cool just to meet people from all over and just get to know them. And then, um, yeah, that might have been the funnest part, just to open my horizons to just how beautiful and different people can are. I mean, we know that. I'm here in America. There's different and beautiful people here too, but um, it was really cool just to broaden my perspective that way.
And as you were, traveling the world, seeing different offices and whatnot, do you feel like that affected how you were able to do your job on a day-to-day basis?
Um, I think it just made um, did it affect how I did my job? I
Yeah, I mean,
think
do you think it made you more effective at your job because you kind of better understood things at a local level?
I think so. I would say especially because of the different types of people I worked with on a daily basis. It's just um helped me be more empathetic
Hmm.
and and just think bigger. You know,
Hmm.
like the world is big. Like we're all connected, but like there's just so many different types of people out there. Um, and realizing that you can't just build a compliance program, um, without thinking about everybody how they would receive that information. That was a big, really big
Hmm.
learning. Um, North America, people in North America are going to receive it differently than in Canada, right? They just have different
Right.
cultures and different ways of thinking, ways of engaging. Um,
Hmm.
and so I had to really learn that skill of taking time to know my audience
Hmm.
and make sure they knew me too, felt comfortable with me
Hmm.
as well. And which I thought was, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that in that large of a scale um in many other places. So I think that was helpful just to get that perspective.
Hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of people have told me, they have that dream company they want to work for, that dream org. They get in. Sometimes it meets the expectations, sometimes it doesn't. So, what was that? How is the reality different than kind of the fantasy you build up in your head over 89 years?
Well, I mean, it was both. It was everything I thought it would be and more, and then it was also a corporation. And so there, and you, and as much as I'm talking about how I love the people, and they're still people, right? And on the legal side and the compliance side, you tend to see the belly of the beast,
Hmm.
and so there's going to be that no matter where you go, and and that's part of the job is to try to fix that, like find it and fix it. Um, so I, I think I think it was what everything I thought it would be, honestly. And but it was also sobering to remember or to realize that at the end of the day, you're still dealing with people. And so,
Hmm.
um, you like the great parts and you try to fix the bad parts.
What was one of the great parts that you didn't even imagine, and then once you saw it on a day-to-day basis, it just blew your mind?
Mm, what blew my mind? Um, I think what blew my mind is just I don't know. Well, two things. So doing the work, just the amount of exposure that I had. Um, I mean, the people who interviewed me, I I I got to actually like really work with them and learn them and learn how they think,
Mm.
which is something I love. I just like studying people. Like I'll study somebody all day just to kind of learn. And I got to do that. I know how certain people think, and I know how the CFO thinks, right?
Mm.
And which helped me to communicate with her, right? So if I had some bad news, I knew how to communicate that. If I had great news, I knew how to communicate that. So that was really exciting for me to have the ability to just kind of learn people, learn how to communicate with them, and just kind of just build my interpersonal skills.
Hmm.
That was a lot of fun. Um, and then another thing that just blew my mind is um, so it's a Christian organization, so there's a lot of prayer and just how seamlessly prayer and just that camaraderie at that level was interwoven through everything. So open a meeting with prayer or close a meeting with prayer, depending on how the meeting went. Um, having I was in a mom's group that we met Wednesdays to just talk about being a mom and a professional and a Christian and how the struggles with that and the beautiful parts of that and the ugly parts of that. So that was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I'd say those two things.
When you made the post announcing, that the organization had done restructuring, as a result, your position was eliminated. the word that jumped out to me the most was unexpected.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Were there any signs at all, you think?
There there were signs, like, thinking back and being really introspective about it, there were moments where it could have gone either way. There we did a restructure with the legal team and the risk team, um, and I have a philosophy, and the new leadership had a philosophy, and sometimes they aligned and sometimes they didn't. And so, um, I think that they didn't align more than they did align, apparently, and which led to a restructure in a different direction. So, um, I think it could have gone one way or another. I was more optimistic that it would go in the way that I would still be there, but it just didn't turn out that way.
Does it feel like the organization that it was on your last day there was quite different than the organization that it was on your first day there?
I'd say the organization. Hmm, I don't know if I would say that because I still feel like there are just such amazing people there, and that they do
Hmm.
a lot of great work just around the world. Like that didn't change. That hasn't changed. What changed was just a philosophy around how to address risk and compliance.
Hmm.
Uh, and companies do that, and um, unfortunately for me, that just meant that I wouldn't be there anymore because of how it was restructured to fit a new philosophy. Um, but I still feel like IGM is a wonderful place. I still feel like they do great work and that they have wonderful people. So that hasn't changed.
Hmm. Do you feel like you were in, the way it all unfolded, do you feel like you were treated fairly?
Uh, I'd say that um I'd say that I could feel like I was treated unfairly. Um at the end of the day, the people who restructured would know better than I would if I was treated unfairly. Um
But I asked you if you felt like you were treated unfairly.
I know you're asking. I don't know. If I have feelings either way, and that's something that I'm that I'm working through. I'm sorry. You're asking me tough questions. You're asking me tough questions. Those are feelings I'm working through that yeah, whether sometimes I feel like I was treated unfairly and sometimes I feel like um that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And um I go back and forth. But for the most part, I'm not really trying to focus on um whether or not I was treated unfairly because of my personal philosophy around, at the end of the day, everything is working out how it's supposed to. And I don't know if that means I'm going to be unemployed for a year and trying to figure out how to feed my kids. I don't know what that means. But I may or may not have been treated unfairly. And but I don't try to focus on that.
Do you still trust that everything's gonna turn out like it's supposed to? Do you still have that faith?
I do. I honestly do. I also have fears that they won't. Like I have fears I don't want to say that. I have fears that between now and when they work out, that there will be some hardships. Um, I'm realistic about that, and there may not be. I could get a job in like a month. Or like I said, I could get a job in a year. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do have faith that it's gonna work out. I just also feel like in between now and then, it could be there could be hardship.
Yeah, I am I'm thinking of that Bible verse, rejoice in suffering. I think it's Paul in Romans, I want to say. You familiar with that one?
Which verse?
I think it's, therefore we rejoice in our sufferings because suffering produces, it's that it's like a lawyer, it's a logical progression. I thought that one would be at like,
Yeah,
the top of your mind. Yeah. But it's, yeah, I think that is, why I started this, this podcast, this space for people to come and be able to talk about, the hurts they feel about losing a job, the fear they have. My fifth guest, Michelle, I always mention her in every episode because she talks about the importance of grieving a job loss. It's something that I think a lot of us feel in our bones, but we might have a hard time, tying the word grief to a job. But that's why, and I appreciate you so much being able to talk about that. I know that it's still, it's obvious from your post on LinkedIn, the one you shared publicly, that you still felt like you had a lot of impact to make at IJM, right? Is that fair?
yeah, that's a fair statement. I feel like I there was a lot I could have done to support IJM.
Hmm.
Um, but I also feel like I also feel like I have to trust divine timing too. I
Hmm.
mean, so this is something I talk to my husband about. Sometimes I wonder um, if I got the job at IGM, if God gave me the job because I asked for it, not necessarily because that's where I was supposed to stay. And if the case is that God gave me the job, allowed me to work at IGM because I asked for it, and that just means I need to ask him for what I want next. To me, it's more confirmation that I'm leaning into, that it's confirmation that he answered my prayer. And I can say that there was a level of grief, especially when you first asked me. I'm like, I can't talk to you right now. Like, I'll get back to you later. Yeah, I went through that, a level of just sadness around being let go and so suddenly. And that was there, but I took the time to kind of work through that as best I could, and I also know that I don't have a lot of time to waste on that because I have to find another job, and I have children, and I have bills. So um I just took the time to try to just feel that immediately. And so there was like a week or two where I didn't do anything. It was like, ugh, I just don't want to do anything. Um and after I let myself feel that, now I'm searching again and having the conversations. Um and another thing, I don't and maybe I'll feel different next week. I don't know. But this week and before, I don't have the feeling that I did anything wrong. I don't feel like I'm not good enough. Like, those are not feelings that I'm getting because I know I didn't. I know I didn't do anything wrong, and I know that I'm good at what I do. So those aren't feelings I get. It was more so just a sadness about like not being able to just work with people that I really grew to care about. That was really hard for me. Um, but then I just tell myself like it's divine timing, and I just really need to figure out what I want to ask God for because um, he's answering my prayers. And so that's the scary part. It's like I need to make sure I ask him for the right thing because clearly he's gonna give it to me. So I need to make sure I ask him ask him for the right things.
Yeah, now you're getting me, let's see, let's look this one up. Psalm 37:4, delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Mm, yeah.
Do you have a sense of what that next thing is that you want to be asking for?
I it's a toss up. Um, I've actually just really been thinking about, do I want to continue to do this type of work? Do I want to transition? Um, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what's next. I definitely don't want to just panic search for a job, and I'm probably not there yet because there's still um a little time of finances are okay, so maybe
Mhm.
ask me 6 months from now. I might be like, I need to just find something, but right now I'm not in that space. So I am taking the time to figure out what I want to ask for. And so I don't have an answer for you for that because thinking through. I want to be really clear about what I'm asking for because I do feel like if I ask for the wrong thing, I'm going to get it. And then it's not going to work out for me the way that I would like for it to work out because I asked for the wrong thing. So I'm taking time to really make sure I'm asking for what I want and what's in alignment with God's will as well.
Do you feel like since, you had your last day of work there, you've learned some new things about either yourself or about what career paths interest you?
Um, Kind of. I mean, I've always wanted to write, like to be an author. Um,
What kind of writing?
so I like to write fantasy fiction. And I'm actually working on my first book right now. And I've been working on it for years. And so that's another thing I've been doing is like, well, I have the time. So I can dedicate some hours to that every day, which I didn't have before. I didn't have the steady time. I would have to find pockets of time to to work on my book. And so now I have plenty of time. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking about, do I want to, like, where do I want to make an impact now? Or does my impact look different? Does it look like I'm not working at a place where I'm making the difference, but I'm volunteering, but I work somewhere else? Like, what is that? Where do I um fulfill that part of my desire? Does that mean it has to be my career, or does it mean that it can just be how I spend my time outside of work? Um so I don't know. I'm still thinking through a lot of those issues.
As is everyone else that's looking, lost their job and looking for a job now. That's what this community that I've created, trying to be able to let if anyone else is in a similar situation and they feel like they have no idea what they want to do, my hope is that they can hear these episodes and know that they're not alone in that. How has your village supported you, your community, your net friends, family, loved ones? How have they been supportive since you got this news?
Oh, they've been great. My husband's been he's been really, I mean, he's not even worried. So I'll have the moment where I'm like, "Are we gonna be okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." So like, okay, well, if you say it, then I believe it. And so
Do you
that's been.
remember what it was like to break the news to him?
Oh yeah, I texted him immediately. and I was still in shock because and I work from home too, so I was just in the house, it's like walking in circles, like what just happened, trying to really process the conversation, and it took me, I would say, like a few days to even really process that conversation. Um, but yeah, I was just in the house, and he came home, and I was just like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I came home." It's like, "Why did you come home?" So I was still kind of out of it, I would say. But he came home from his job and decided to work from home just to just be there with me, um, which was really nice. And then he cooked me a really nice dinner to celebrate my
What was it?
transition.
What was it?
He
What
made
did
me
he
a
cook you?
he cooked me a steak. He's my personal grill master. And so, because I got him a grill for his birthday a long time, like maybe 6 years ago. And so it's his favorite gift. And, so he made me some
What kind of
steak.
steak? What kind of steak was it?
I don't know his
Ribeye,
steak.
fillet.
He likes it was like a grilled, sirloin.
Okay.
And yeah, and he makes this really cool bourbon sauce, his little recipe. It's the whole thing. But yeah, so he made me dinner.
You got you got a little Top Chef going on in your home right there.
Yeah, I mean, and he likes it, and so I like it too. I eat very well. So,
What have you learned about job searching, since you got the news? What's been the biggest surprise that you've come to realize about what it's like to look for a job in 2026?
honestly, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's, of course, trying to be particular about where I apply. 'Cause like I said, I don't want to be a panic. I don't want to just be in a panic. So I'm trying to just be really thoughtful about where I'm applying. Um, Understanding too that I'm not unique in being let go. There's a ton of people who've been let go recently. So I know the competition is pretty stacked. Like I get that. So I'm not really surprised by what I see out here. I'm not surprised that when I go to apply for a job, it's already had like over 100 clicks. And it's like, well, there's just so many of us who are in this position. Um, so I'm really not surprised at all. It's unfortunate, and I don't like it, and but I'm not seeing anything of this unexpected.
I guess you said you're not really sure kind of what path you want to do, but you're still applying for jobs. So how do you know kind of which jobs to apply for then if you're not really sure what you're being called to do right
So right now, I'm applying for jobs that are still in the compliance sector,
now?
like doing compliance work and legal work. Um, that are looking for somebody with that does the type of thing I do. So if it's just like, oh, we're looking for just a person to just manage this part of a program, I'm like, I can't do that. I want to build a program. I want to, um, yeah, I want to be really involved in working with other departments. I don't want to be stuck in a corner. And so I'm reading through the job descriptions and making sure that what they're asking for is something that I would enjoy doing. But at the same time, so I'm doing that because part of me is like, if I sit around all day and I don't apply to anything, then I'm going to be like, well, that's stupid. But at the same time,
Why? Why would you say that?
well, I feel like I need to use my time better because I have it sectioned out. So I have time where I'm applying, looking for jobs that I would be interested in doing, and that's like 2 or 3 hours a day. That I'm not spending more than that, and I have those hours planned out. And then I have the time where I'm going for a walk because I want to focus on my health. And then I have the time where I'm meditating on what I want to do next. And I'm just journaling and doing thought work around what's might be best for me, which avenues I should take. Um, so I am applying to jobs that I might like to do, but I'm also compartmentalizing all of it. Like, search for jobs, so don't be crazy and not look for anything because there is a time where you're going to run out of money, but also take time to um, figure out what you might want to do if you don't do that.
Have you ever thought about just going a week and not applying for any jobs at all?
No, not a week. I have gone a few days. I have gone, even yesterday, I didn't apply for any jobs, but I just felt I needed to just rest. It's like, oh, it just feels like a day of rest. So I didn't apply for any jobs yesterday, and
And
there
how did you feel how did you feel at the end of the day after that?
I felt fine about it because, like I said, I don't want to panic. Like, whenever I feel panicky or like I'm afraid, I don't want to be in that space. Like, that's I don't think that's going to be helpful for me.
Mm,
So when I feel like, even in my schedule for apply for jobs, go for a walk, um, read a book, meditate, even in that schedule, I made sure that it flows in a way that I can rest. And so yesterday, I just felt like I just need to just not not do anything, and I was okay with that. But then today, I applied for some jobs. Um I did my routine. Yes, today I started my routine, but yesterday I didn't. So I couldn't do a week. I don't think I could do a week. But there are days where I recognize in my body that I just need to not think about any of this right now, and I respect that, and I give myself that space.
mm. Right now, do you have anyone, that you've met in the last few weeks that's, been a helpful resource in the job search?
It's been a helpful resource.
Helpful resource. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if that's no. I have people in my
Well,
corner who I've given
mm,
my resume to, like my siblings. My husband, he's in HR, so he knows a lot of um like headhunters and stuff like that. So, whether it's helpful or not, that's to be determined, but I do have people who are on my team who are um sending out my resume to people they may know.
mhm. Do you feel confident that you're doing effective job searching, or is there a sense that like there's other things you want to be doing to be a more effective job seeker?
I don't know. I don't know what else to do. Um this is the first time I've been in a space where I don't have a plan. Like, even when I was doing healthcare compliance and I decided to pull out of that, I just did private practice, but that was planned out. I had thought about what that was going to look like. And then when I worked in higher education, that was planned out. Like, everything has been planned. So this is the first time in my career where I'm in this position. So I don't actually know if I'm doing the right thing or not. I don't know what else I should do. Maybe I should research that. But um yeah, I don't know.
Most of us don't. It, no, and and that's what I've learned. I've done 20 episodes now, and everyone, it's you're in the middle of a tornado, and it's hard to know how to get out.
Yeah, I have no clue, which is why I built my little routine that I do every day. Um, because it gives me some sense of control, and because at least I know. if I stick to this, and like I said, it's rigid, but it's baked in, it's with a good flow so that I'm not worn out or stressing. Um, but at least that allows me to take back some control while also allowing myself to have, well, coaching myself through, I should say, coaching myself through having a positive perspective, because there are times I'm not positive. Sometimes I do have pockets of like, oh, I'm so mad. and then um and then I'll call my brother, or I'll talk to my husband, and like I said, my husband's like, it's fine. You're gonna find something great right for you. You're going to, this is give you an opportunity to write. He loves that I'm a writer. So he's like, this gives you time to do that. And I'm like, okay, but what about the other half of the bills? He's like, don't worry about that. And then my brother, who I very close to, he's like, oh man, this just opened up so many doors for you. So when I call people who are really excited about, who they seem excited about this transition, it kind of helps me get back into the mindset of like, yeah, this is just the transition. And I need to just keep that perspective.
Is that hard to do?
It can be. Um, some it's like I said, 6 months from now, if you ask me these same questions, I might have a different answer for you. But in this moment, sometimes I get upset, sometimes I get sad, but I have been doing my best to remind myself that I have a lot to offer. I I have a good team. This is time for me to actually do some of my hobbies I didn't have time to do before. Um, Even like my kids. When I worked for IJM, I missed so much stuff. I missed um like their martial arts stuff, and I just wasn't here because I was flying other places, and I would feel really guilty about missing stuff. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm tired of missing their stuff. Like I'm tired of that. And so now I can do everything. I can go to their practices in the middle of the day, like cuz school gets out here like 2:30. So when they have practice at 3:30, I can be there as opposed to stuck in front of a computer. So, um yeah, I'm just like taking in those things as well, which is helping me to keep that, like, to find joy in this moment, because now I can do those things like I didn't have time to do before.
It's awesome. That's one thing I've heard from so many parents that have come on the show, that they didn't think that when they first got the news that they lost their job, but they are just blown away with joy at how much time they get to spend with their children now. It's the unexpected blessing. Um, and that's so wonderful to hear. What gives you hope moving forward in the job search? Are there any things that you think that really excite you about this next phase in your career?
I think what gives me hope is, like I said, I feel like God answers prayers, and he answered my prayer. I really feel like IGM was an answer to prayers. And um for them and for me, I feel like what I did there was helpful. And I feel like me going there was also helpful for me. Um but I also feel like I have a strong feeling that God was like, I'm giving you what you're asking for so that I will give you what you asked for. And so that keeps me um that keeps me kind of in a state of hope, right? Like there's hope, which is where I say I'm a little afraid to ask for the wrong thing now, because I'm like, okay, if he's gonna answer, I have to make sure I ask for the right thing. Um, so that gives me hope, and but then there's times I don't have hope. Sometimes there's times where I'm like, there's hundreds of thousands of people looking for a job right now, and um, most of them are probably great at their job, right? Like I said, they're probably like perfect, like great at it. I see you.
It's debatable.
I see you. But that's how I feel. It's like there's competition, and there's people who've been let go for no reason at all who are probably great at their job.
Are any of them as great as you, Jamie?
Well, yeah. I think I'm great.
I don't know.
Clearly, I
Says
think I'm
who?
great. But I also think that there's others who are great too. And I know that there are a lot of us in the same boat. And
I'll say
so
this: are any of them great in the way that you're great?
are they great? No, well, I don't know them personally. um I think that I hear what you're trying to say. I really do. And I do think that I have a lot to offer. I really do. And but back to my point, I also know that there's a lot of people looking for jobs right now. And and so that can be daunting to me, like, oh, we're all looking for there's a lot of us looking for a job. So um
Mhm.
that can be, those are thoughts that I have that can be scary. So that's when I start coaching myself, like, no, you are great. You have a lot to offer. Da-da-da-da. Give like pep talking myself, and then reaching out to people who um on my team who pep talk me as well to kind of get me back in a good frame of mind.
JV, right now on LinkedIn, there's over 44,000 job postings for attorneys.
44,000 postings for attorneys, but do are they asking for what I do? But I hear you. I really do. And I'm very grateful for you pep talking me.
I probably sound like your husband does, right? And your brother, right?
Yeah,
The pep
and that's
talks you don't want to hear.
no, it's fine. It's fine. It's it's actually like that's really sweet. That's really, really sweet. Thank you.
Good. No. So we'll wrap up then. I like to always finish with people of kind of, if I'm the hiring manager for your dream job, and let's just assume you figure it out tomorrow.
Oh
Why
gosh.
why should I hire? What makes you
Okay.
that A plus MVP superstar greatest of all time? Why are you
Okay.
the greatest attorney Jamie of all time?
Why am I the greatest? I'd say because I don't ever want to do a job just to do a job. Like I actually want to make a difference. And I recognize that um even in our field of law and compliance that can seem really scary, um, that's not the point. That's not how I see it. I see it as an opportunity to help people feel safe and feel like they have the roadway open for them to do the job that they're trying to do. So, um, and that's my motivation is to um, just do my part in helping people feel safe in doing their jobs. And even if that's me being on the back end, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, and then two, I really like what I do. It's a creative process. I see compliance and in law as, especially the way I do it, as a creative process. Um, because you really get to learn how an organization ticks, and you
Hmm.
get to learn how the people tick.
Yeah.
And what works for one organization doesn't work for another one because it's just different cultures and different ways of working, which allows me to just really have fun with building building a system that really works for you for that corporation. So that's what I bring just somebody who I don't want to check a box. I want it to work. I want everything to work flawlessly, and I'll tinker with it if it's not if this type of training isn't working because people keep messing up. Um, then that means that I just got to tinker with it. We got to figure out what the problem is, and that's kind of what I do. I help build the system, and I understand that there's a belly of the beast everywhere you go, and you just gotta find it, and that's what I do. I try to find it, and I try to make it better. Yeah.
You're hired. That was good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for all you did at IJM for making life a lot better for a lot of people. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
wait to
thank you.
read your book.
Well, yeah. Thank you
I'm
for.
gonna be the first I'm gonna be the first person in line at the bookstore for that signing.
Oh, I'll have to I'll reach out to you as soon as it's done and published. I'll be like, it's out there, um, and we'll see. But no, this is good, and thank you for being patient with me. It took me a few weeks to get
Yeah,
to the place where I could really have this conversation. Um, so yeah, thank you for
you were
waiting and not
wonderful.
brushing me off when I shut up out of nowhere.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.